Welcome to the Natural Way of Being video blog. This video is titled, The Dimension of the Unknown. So there's this really cool practice in my tradition that I was trained to ask myself before I go into ceremony or before you go into any experience of life, actually. And it's basically to say to yourself, I am nothing, I know nothing. Now, if you think about it, it's kind of an odd thing to say. Right? It's like our culture really values knowing things. We get trained for a job, we go to college, we study to take a test. It all is about knowing things. And here we're saying, I am nothing, I know nothing. So it's like taking all the things we know and it's kind of putting it aside. Like, so why would we do that? Why would we say that to ourselves? Okay, well, the reason is, it turns out that when you say that to yourself, it opens a dimension of being, okay? And more specifically, it opens the dimension of the unknown. To explore this, I want to contrast or differentiate, the dimension of the known and the dimension of the unknown. And first of all, what's in these different dimensions? So the dimension of the known includes all of our experiences, all of the things that we're conscious of, okay? It includes all of the things that we've learned, all the lessons, the cause and effect. It's like when I do this, then this tends to happen. Okay? And so the dimension of the unknown basically includes everything else. And as it turns out, you may have noticed, the dimension of the unknown is really vast. And from what I can tell, is pretty much unlimited. Okay, so when you compare that, as cool as our dimension of the known is, we've worked hard for it, right? As cool as it is, it's fairly small compared to the dimension of the unknown. It ends up being somewhat limiting. So if you had this really challenging problem or question, do you want to know the things that the answers that you're conscious of, or do you want to know like all of the answers and all the possibilities in all of life? So then this video is really about how do we access the dimension of the unknown so we can access all the possibilities of life. So the next thing is like, how do we access these different dimensions? Okay, so with the dimension of the known, what we do is we have a problem or we ask a question, and then we kind of scan and seek, and we go through and like accessing all of our previous experiences. Okay, and it's like, and then we look for, and then we find an answer or we find a solution, and then when we find that answer, a solution, it like closes the loop, right? It solves the problem. So then we can rest, and it's like kind of relief, right? I had this problem, I found an answer, I'm good, I can move on, I can let it go. So the mind likes that. It likes to find solutions to its problems fairly quickly. And no quicker, there's no quicker way to solve than by accessing the known. So in contrast, when we're working with the dimension of the unknown, we're going to intentionally leave the loop open. So we're not going to go with the first answer or the first solution to our problem. We're going to say, okay, that's a cool solution, but what else? Okay, we're leaving it open, and then it presents to our mind and to our being. There's this unsolved problem, or there's this unanswered question. And then what it does is it like opens it up, and we start having ideas, and we start having intuitions, and different, things come to us, to help us solve this problem. Okay, now this is a little uncomfortable because remember, the mind likes things closed, so we have to sit with it for a little bit. And what it ends up doing is it opens us up to all the possibilities. The known usually has one possibility, maybe two at best, right? The unknown, it has this infinite number of possibilities, and we just leave it open, and new possibilities just kind of keep coming to us as long as we're willing to leave it open. Now, understanding that leaving it open is uncomfortable, it's not always practical to leave it open for a long time, but as long as we leave it open, we're getting new possibilities that are going to present themselves to us. So let's look at how this works in day-to-day life. Okay, so say life presents a problem to us and we're trying to solve it. Say I'm at work and say one of my clients is mad at me or hurt because I didn't return her email. Okay, and so to start with the known, and usually that's kind of where, typically when we have a problem, we often start with the known dimension, right? I mean, not everyone. Some of you are intuitive and you have intuitive ideas that go beyond the known, but let's just say for the sake of our example that we start with the known dimension. So it's like my client's mad at me, and so let me access it. When clients have been mad at me before, what seems to work is I'm just really honest. I answer their email. I really work hard to regain their trust and blah, 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 blah. So those are just some ideas. Those are solutions from the known perspective. Okay, and that's what comes to us first. So if we want to go further than that and we want to venture into the unknown dimension, that's a good place to start. But what we say to ourselves is, okay, that's one possibility. What else is here? See, which opens the loop, right? Saying we have one possibility. We may use that one, very practical, worked before, but let's say that's great. What else is here? Which opens the loop, and then we can sit with it. And again, this isn't always the most comfortable, but then new ideas start coming in. New intuitions, new possibilities begin to. It's like, oh, I could also do this, or I could also do this, and then a day later, oh, well, what about this? Okay, until we finally, what happens is we can do this until we find one that really resonates with us. It's like, yeah, I like that one. That's the one I'm going to do. We've used both the known and the unknown, but the key is to access the unknown, we have to go beyond just the known. We have to yeah, the known is one possibility, but we have to keep the loop open, which isn't always comfortable. It can be very exciting if we're willing to stick with it. So it's like sitting with things. It's like not just going with the first answer. It's like, that's good, but what else? And just sitting with it a little longer, allowing our intuition, allowing our connection to all of life to kind of kick in. And then it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, wow, we could also do this and also do this. Or we could even explore it with our client, but it's like, it's not closing the loop, it's leaving it open. So anyway, that is my video blog for this week. I hope that you have enough courage to explore the unknown dimension of being this week and to sit with things a little bit longer to see if there's some other possibilities there. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in a week.